Andre the Beast. Andre the Beast. Change our lives. Andre the Beast. Yeah, 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 yeah. He tapped in at the break of dawn. Told us King keep pushing on. Ice bath drip in the miles fell long. But your words kept us locked in strong.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show. Another exciting show and definitely another exciting guest. Let me tell you where we're going. We're going to North Carolina, outside of somewhere in Raleigh, right?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes.
this is a show that definitely has that beast mindset. And let me tell you where we're going today. Imagine the loss of one parent. Then imagine the loss of another parent. Then imagine being the matriarch, the person that we call the shot caller. And the thing about the loss of someone and you're put in this situation, you often ask yourself, just because I'm the oldest, am I really ready to do this? Am I mentally, emotionally, spiritually ready to handle this? Because the bottom line is I may be the matriarch or the oldest of this family, but has anybody really thought about the pressure that this might have on me losing not one parent but two and trying to navigate life not only for the people around me and my family but also my siblings. Today on the show we have a beautiful young lady that's going to tell us how she found that beast mindset. Not saying she didn't have it, but sometimes you lose it a little bit and you have to get it fired back up again. But she had a little bit of it, but then it just took it to a whole different level with the loss of two parents and getting ready to come up on that 1 year anniversary. That's welcome to the show, Miss Heather Renee. What's up, baby girl?
Thank you for having me, Andre. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. You getting ready to get into the 1 year anniversary of the loss of both of your parents. Thank you so much for taking time to come on the show to explain how all of this loss, out of loss, you grew flowers. Before we get started, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are.
Oh, and again, thank you for having me. My name's Heather. Like you said, I'm in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. I am 46 and aspiring to influence in the fitness area as much as I can, but I'm a senior vice president, Bank of America, in the corporate world. I have two wonderful children, 15 and 11, that keep me busy in competitive travel soccer. And I am just definitely a fitness guru or an up and coming trying to be fitness guru. And just really excited to be here to chat about more.
That's and I love fitness. Don't get me wrong. I come from that same environment. Play semi-pro football, Olympic candidate, professional bodybuilder, national judge. I mean, you name it, I probably done, except for baseball. I can catch, but I can't hit worth shit.
That'll be next. We'll get you into that next, baseball.
So let's go into this story, this journey. You're 44, around 44 years old, and you lose both of your parents. What was your life like before the loss of your parents?
I mean, I would say, going through the motions, I wouldn't say it was any different. It definitely became more chaotic, I would say, after the loss of my parents. But before, I would say, regular life. I mean, you got together on holidays, you got together on weekends, you talked to them every day. At least, some days I would talk to my dad, some days, but every day my mom, right? So she was my best friend. So I had connection. I had a connection and love, unconditional love, right? So I think that's what I felt before they passed, is always having an unconditional love, a person there that's always proud of you and always tells you they're proud of you, or at least, they are, but just always somebody to call and talk to if you need some advice.
Was the passing of both parents sudden? Did you have any indication that they were both suffering from some type of illness? Like, what was that? How did that take place?
They both were ill in a way, but there was never a terminal aspect of those illnesses. So, you know, unfortunately, my father kind of hid away for a little while and didn't really allude to how bad it had become until I did go see him, and I basically was like, "We're getting you to the hospital." And then unfortunately, it was too late at that point. But my mother, she was recovering from cancer treatment, and unfortunately, she just took a turn. And after the chemo and radiation, she caught, I think, COVID. I don't know if it's COVID or the flu, and just unfortunately, just never recovered from that. But that was not, again, at the time, this was a year ago, 2 years ago, COVID wasn't terminal. People were surviving COVID. So it was, again, an illness. To answer your question, yes, Andre, they were ill, but it wasn't terminal. So I wasn't prepared for either of them.
You mentioned your father kind of went on hiatus with his
Mm-hmm.
illness. What was his diagnosis for passing?
He had COPD. He was in the military. He was a Marine, and he Agent Orange, had some challenges with that, and so he ended up with COPD. But he also had a liver transplant, so he was dealing with some of that. But he COPD to me is not terminal. I don't hear. I mean, maybe it is. I didn't really know many people with that, but he lived with it for a long time. So it wasn't something that I felt was going to take him ultimately.
Mhm. When you got the news before the passing, I'm trying to take the viewers into your mindset. This was these two individuals were your rock. I know
Yes,
you're married. I know you have children, but let's get real. These were the alpha and omega to your life. They were there before the husband. They were there before the children.
right.
Um, when you was told that they was going through all this, what was your mindset like? Because to be in the position that you're in with Bank of America, you can handle pressure. So how did the shift change for you? Because now you got to deal with not only running a major company, but now the pillars of your life is changing now, and now you've been blessed. I'm gonna call it blessed because that's the first word that came to my vocabulary. You've been blessed with the authority to now be the matriarch. That's a
Mm,
lot more on your plate. So these people gave you this, family
right.
members or whatever, because they saw something in you at that particular point in your life that you can handle this without asking you if you can handle it. What was your life once all that came upon your plate?
Well, I don't know if many of the listeners here have been the eldest child, but the financial piece of it, and the will and the testament and the estate, it all comes down to the oldest one, or the one who's designated to take care of it. So yes, I you know I can be a beast at juggling and balancing work and everything else in my life, but I was doing a good job with that. And so to throw this into the mix, to where you got to put a house up for sale, you've got to potentially sell a car, you've got to figure out if they had all the right documents prepared. And so my financial background definitely helped me with that, but it definitely threw my life into a chaotic mix of, how do I balance everything and do a good job? Because what I jump into something, I want to do the best job I can. I want to be good at something, even if I don't know how to do it. And so, jumping into lead an estate, or, execute an estate, was just eye opening to me. Because I, again, want to do a good job. And unfortunately, when financial things happen in families, it can definitely rifts can happen, right? When it comes to money, I'll be honest, financial aspects of things. So just trying to juggle all that was really, really challenging. And I hit a low. I definitely hit a low in my life.
It's funny that you're on the show talking about this. So I'm one thing about this show is it's also an educational platform. So we can take the pains that individuals went through and try to make it into an educational piece for the
Mm-hmm.
listeners. So I'm gonna do
Sure.
that if you don't mind. I'm gonna do
Not at
that
all.
for you.
Not at all. Yeah.
When somebody dies and all of a sudden all of this is placed up on you, especially when you use this word, money and resources, which both of your parents pretty much had, you start to see the side of people that you never thought you would see.
Yeah.
How much do I get? I thought mom and
Mhm.
dad was leaving me this. What gives
Mhm.
you the right to tell me what we or what we shouldn't do? So this is a
Absolutely.
two-part question here. What were some of the things that you went through? Knowing what you went through, what kind of advice on that aspect would you give the listeners so they can tell someone, hey, you better put this shit in writing and do this because you can't come back and help me sort through this.
Mhm. No, great. I mean, that's a valid point, Andre. And I would say that having siblings that aren't as financially sound, and or understanding of the financial piece, trying to explain those things was very challenging because it was almost like, well, I get half now. We don't have to wait a year. I want this now, or let me go ahead and take care of this now. Well, when you have an estate and a will, it does not move slowly. You got a year to do it, right? You got a year to execute everything. But at the end of the day, the important part is what they wanted, what their wishes were, and I needed to do the job to honor that. Like what they wanted, their last will, testament, items going where, how they wanted things handled. That was in writing. That was my job and the noise, so it's cutting the noise. I mean, cut the noise. I don't. You can sit there and get upset with me, and it may create a little bit of a rift between us now. But once we got through it, it was okay. But it was bumpy and rocky. But I had to cut the noise and say that this is the way it is. This is how it's going to be.
If I'm not mistaken, when this thing happens and there's a lot of assets being involved here, it goes to probate court, right, for a year.
It can, yeah, depending on how what if they had a will, if they had an estate. Yes, it can. That certain things have to go through probate. Certain things can stay out of probate. But you're absolutely right. Yes.
What did you find out differently when all this happened? Like that you really wasn't prepared for? Like maybe, your parents might have had a vehicle that was worth a $500,000 and
Mhm.
Jimmy said he's supposed to get it, but Jimmy doesn't have validation that he's supposed to get. Like what were some of the other things that
Mhm.
you was tackling that was unforeseen that may not have been in that last will and testament that
Mhm.
do the courts leave that up to you to decide how that's going to be dispersed? And if it
Mhm.
was the case, what was a particular item that you had to deal with that the courts was like, you know what, you're gonna have to handle this part
Mhm.
right
Oh, I have an answer ready for you, Andre. So my mom lived at the beach. She lived in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, gorgeous place. She retired there about 7 years before she passed. I'm very, very happy she retired at 60 because she only had 7 years in retirement. But she bought a cute little townhome, not right on the beach, but close to the beach. I mean, we were there every weekend in the summer, having a great time. It was our second home. Well, she in her will there was nothing about what to do with the house and
here? Oh my,
nothing. And so I know, so it's me and my brother, it's at the peak of the housing market at the beach, 2 or 3 years ago, peak of the housing market.
yeah.
And she owed quite a bit still on the home. So it's, do I keep the house and financially put my family in a burden, but and then I have to pay out my brother, right? And so it's just like, I had to sit there and really, really think about, do I keep a beautiful home at the beach and potentially, not be able to afford and suffice for my own home and children, or do I just bite the bullet and sell it? And I struggled with that so much, Andre, because that was my kid's second home, and I wanted to keep it, but at the end of the day, I couldn't afford to pay my brother out, and I couldn't afford to keep it and have two mortgages. So I had to make that decision, and I think she would have accepted that because she didn't say, I want you to keep it or I don't want you to. That was just up to us.
Why didn't your brother say, let's work together and try to keep the house? 'Cause that was where your mom retired from. That was
Right.
the second home. I mean, it could have been an investment in
Hmm.
the state for your family and his family.
I agree. I don't think financially he was set up to commit to that. He wasn't financially set up to be able to commit to that kind of responsibility. Because I did try and put that out there as an option, but that was not something that he wanted to pursue.
How difficult was that for you to let that go? Because that was probably the closest piece of life or
Hmm.
memory that you can have with your mom, right?
It was, Andre, but I would say we kept it for a while because these things don't happen overnight. And every time I went back, it just didn't feel the same without her. It just didn't feel the same. It And I didn't want to change it into something that wasn't her. We all wanted to remember that place as her and how she had it. And so coming in and changing things or just, again, it just didn't feel like home without her there, if that makes sense. So it made it a little bit easier for me to make that decision. But, without her there, it wasn't the same.
I should have asked this earlier. Who passed first, your mom or
My
your dad?
dad. My dad.
How
And
did
they
your
were
mom,
divorced. They weren't married, just so you know. They were divorced. They weren't
were
together.
they still close?
No. I mean, they were cordial, but they weren't close.
Okay. Um, how was it with selling your dad's stuff?
Well, that was another story. My dad actually, he had a friend, a close friend, significant other, I don't know what you call it, but he actually put her name on that. So on the deed of that, they were business partners. So he was very smart in how he set things up from a business perspective to where I had to do a little less on his side than I had to do on my mom's side. So I didn't have to deal with the stress. I had to deal with the stress of a Mustang, a 1965 Mustang that I don't know, I couldn't sell. It took a long time because it was broken down. Nobody wanted to buy a broken Mustang, and I didn't want to keep a broken Mustang. But it was a nice looking car. But the house piece I didn't have to worry as much about.
With the loss of both of your parents, were you really close to your dad too, even though him and your mom, weren't
Um,
together?
I mean, I would say my dad was a Marine. He was a complex person, right? He was a Marine, and he just country boy, grew up on a farm, and just I was close to him in a different way, right? I knew he loved me. We didn't talk as much. He wasn't a big talker. He wasn't a big visitor. But when we did talk, we'd catch up and bounce right back. But definitely much closer to my mom.
When did you start seeing yourself losing it? When did the signs start? What were some of the signs? And the reason I'm doing this is so the viewers can understand that even though you carry a high power position, the deaths of two parents and dealing with the state and dealing with
Mm-hmm.
family does have its toll on you. What were some of the
Absolutely.
things that you was going through that you was exhibiting that could have maybe cost you your job? Because you're under the microscope when you're dealing with not my
Right.
money, but everybody's money.
Right. Right. Yeah. I would say I felt as if I was losing um, control of the balance and the juggle, right? I felt as if I didn't know what to focus on at the time. Do I focus on, being the best career woman I can and advancing in my job? Because it was in an impasse where I could, really try to juggle more at work and make a good, make myself look better. I had children's stuff, soccer to take care of, but I had this packet of an estate that I had to execute, and I would say I probably lost it about halfway into my dad's estate because that's when my mom got diagnosed with cancer. So when she got diagnosed, it was stage one. It was stage one, but at that I lost it when she called me and I was like, I'm going to lose my mom now. I mean, I'm just like, I just lost my dad. My mom has cancer. And in my head, it just flashed. It was like, okay, you're about to lose your mom too. I don't know why I said that because I really didn't think it, but that was the moment I just completely fell apart.
Let me go here. How did you get? How did they? How did they wind up putting all of the responsibility on you, even though you're the oldest?
Because I guess I'm in finance. I figured I could do a better job. I don't know. I just think that, again, I think I was in a better place in my life, again, with my background, to be able to do it the way they wanted to and execute it the way their last wishes were. And I was okay with it. I never would have had an issue with it. It's just back to back.
Mhm.
Just, it's
How
a
did
lot.
you? What were the things that you did for yourself once everything? No, not once everything was done.
Hmm.
Once you start seeing yourself go down that rabbit hole, knowing you still got to take care of your husband and your children, you did the wishes, it But here's where we're going with this too. The people that always patted you on the back, they're not here no more.
Yep.
Nobody pat you on the back and say, hey, good job. They said, okay, is this all the money I get? Do I get the Mustang? Blah, 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 blah. But you're
Yeah.
spiraling a little bit. When do
Oh
you
yeah.
get, what was, how did you get yourself out of that?
Yeah, I decided that I was going to force myself to give myself an hour every day. Whenever that hour was, whatever, I would look at my work schedule, I look at my kid's schedule, I look at the whatever it was for this estate schedule, and I said, okay, where is my hour? Find an hour. I don't care what time it is. Find that hour and get your butt in the gym, put in those AirPods, blast the music, turn it up, and just lift heavy. I just started researching it. And a woman in her 40s, the best way to get in shape is not cardio. Best way is to lift heavy. And so I started to do that. I started watching videos. I started researching, put into 1 hour a day, lifting heavy. And that became my therapy.
What were you doing before that? Were you doing a lot of cardio?
I may run, and I learned my lesson because I fractured my ankle running in the neighborhood. I just decided to run because, everyone, it's a myth, but just do cardio, Stairmaster, treadmill. I had a Peloton bike. I had a treadmill. I tried that. Cardio never worked for me. Never works.
Did you
You
talk
know,
to a therapist or anything like that, or you just went straight to the gym?
I did therapy too. I did therapy for about 3 months. And it got to the point where I just didn't have anything else to talk about. I felt I had talked about it, and I had, I hashed out all the feelings and the guilt, because it's the guilt that just kills. It's the hardest part is what if you done this? What if you did this? So I worked through that. And after that, again, it was just the gym was my therapy. There was times, Andre, a song would come on and I just lose it, but I'd stay lifted. The tears were falling, but I'd stay lifted, and it got me through.
How
Much
has
more than running.
how has the lifting, in your opinion, changed your whole outlook on life and death itself?
Hmm. I think it's the honesty of the gym and the results, right? It's the results. It's seeing you put your mind to something. A body that somebody wants in 2 to 3 months is really going to take you 2 to 3 years. You've just got to accept that. And so lifting the weights and seeing the results, the slow results, and then making the changes with the diet. That was when I got excited, because people can go to the gym all day, and if they don't really focus and work towards a goal, you're not going to see the results you want. So once I started seeing a little muscle pop, I was like, oh, let me keep it going, lift up a little bit heavier.
How long did it take you to start really? Let me go here. How long did it take for you to start seeing the mental gains versus the physical gains?
Immediately, the endorphins, the walking out of that gym, knowing I'm coming. I know I'm coming back to something that's going to be stressful, right? But walking out of that gym, taking that deep breath, and just when I did it. I made the time for myself. Now let's dive into the hard part.
Now that you look back at all that and is everything already taken care of now with the
It is. Yeah,
tank
it
and
is.
stuff like that?
Yeah. Yes.
What was the most disappointing part of dealing with that? Because you said a lot of people show who they really were. But I mean, now that it's over, there is times where we do self-reflection. And do you look at,
Hmm.
you don't have to mention their names, but are there several people that you looked at now and go, I never thought that money and
Hmm.
things like this would make you go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would say that, you know, hmm, I'll be careful. Um, I had some half siblings from my dad's previous, he had a previous marriage, and he basically, took in some children that were older. And basically my half brother's wife just sent me a really nasty, nasty text message about my dad, and about how he, didn't contact his siblings after a certain, basically taking all of the mistakes my dad had made over the last couple of years and putting them on me. And just it was really hurtful that,
What do you mean, family? Like what?
I had nothing to do with all of that, but I had to hear all of the pain that they were suffering because of mistakes my dad made. So that was really disappointing.
Give me an example without going too deep.
Um, my dad just wasn't communicating with them towards the end. But when someone's sick and ill, they're not good at communicating. They kind of pull
Mhm.
back and they pull away. And she basically accused my dad of falsifying the fact that he was the real father. It was like a DNA kind of situation, where my dad wasn't sure if he ever really was the real father, and I think she decided to go on to one of those DNA websites and find out that potentially he may not be. But that wasn't the point. Like, my dad was there in the younger years for him, and he took his last name. Whether my dad knew or not, he wasn't out to pursue that answer. And so once he passed away, it gave her the freedom to attack the family because she thought I knew. And so reaching out to me and saying, how dare you, not acknowledge the fact that your dad's not really your half brother's dad. I'm like, that's not for me to do. That's not my place. Family's family. Who cares if there's a genetic or not,
Why not ask
right?
you? Oh
And
my!
we're going down a rabbit hole here.
So why not ask you? What can I do
Mm-hmm.
to help you with his estate planning?
Yeah.
Did
No,
they
none of
even
that.
come to you with any help, or
Nope, I did not.
but they can send out? I'm telling people, the listeners, you better watch out when you pass. 'Cause people show up with some of the craziest shit. Um,
It's true. It's true.
so I'm pretty sure you kind of like with your weight training, kind of push that up under the rug now. They probably don't
Right.
even
Yeah.
contact you no more.
Jonas, I got the text message in the gym. Thank God, because I just ignored it. I was like, Rita was like, what is this? All right, well, I'm going to ignore it and keep on lifting. I don't even care.
Yeah, put on some Guns and Roses and cut the music up a little bit louder.
Right. Right.
So how were you now? Mentally, physically, emotionally?
I'm in a good place. I really I feel great. I process my grief. I still go to the gym every day. When, as much as I can. I still lift heavy. I think now at this point, I want to be able to. I'd love to help other women my age or people in my situation know that you know it's okay. It's okay to feel the certain way that you're feeling, and it's okay to not have it all together sometimes. But
Mhm.
just however you need to mentally focus and physically focus on yourself, I would just really would love to be able to help with that and help anybody with that and help them understand that while it may feel dark now, making time for yourself to build something you're not born with is just, it's worth it.
Let's go here before we wrap up. You said you're on a quest to help women. Give me more insight on what do you mean by helping women. We're not talking about just the loss of a parent or a loved one. We're
Right.
talking about something more deeper than that, I assume, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I would say as a mother, we put our children first, right? We put our children first, and we put our family first, and we put our responsibilities and our duties in the household usually first sometimes. And we tend to forget ourselves as women and mothers. We tend to forget that, what sparks our fire, or what really fuels our fire. What's the spark inside of us? And I kind of lost that spark. And on top of losing my family and on top of trying to juggle things, I was like, I'm tired of not having something that I love. And no one's fault, right? I'm tired of not finding something that I love that I can focus on. And whether it's lifting weights, whatever it is, how do you find that time for yourself to, again, don't lose yourself in the chaos of life and children. That's really what I want to like to help people with, is don't lose yourself in that, because you can. And then when you lose parents and then the unconditional love is gone, it's just, okay, I've got to focus on being healthy for my family, because both of my parents died 60s and 70s. I know that's not, super old, super young, but I need to do something for myself to make sure I'm healthy and I can be here as long as possible as well.
Evidently, you're doing this because you've had encounters either through social media or
Hmm.
personally with
Right.
other women, I take it,
Hmm.
that has shared with you what they're going through. Share with me briefly some of the concerns that you've ran across with different women that you know what you're trying to achieve is going to help them.
Hmm. I mean, I think it's, I wish wish the social media world was a little more supportive. I wish women were more supportive of women in social media and the fitness world. But I will say that I love to, if I see a woman on social media it's her first day in the gym or it's her second day and she is filming herself and she is taking pictures and video, I'm just gonna comment, I'm gonna like, and I'm gonna encourage because you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you got 20 minutes in today. It doesn't matter if you get 30 or an hour and a half. You started and you went and you're taking pictures of yourself and you're smiling and confident. That's what's going to get you there is just always again showing up for yourself and making sure that if you want to document it. If you don't. But I would say there was a girl and a lady on Instagram and she's got lips, she's small kids, right? And I just loved it. She just it was day one in the gym. And I just loved it. I just reached out to her. I was like, I love this. Keep it going, and just inspiring and helping. I have a long way to go too. I still have, things I want to, achieve on my journey, but I just want to build other women up and just, encourage them as much as I can.
Why do you think that women aren't really supportive on social media?
I mean, maybe it's the niche that I'm in. I don't know. I mean, I'm in my 40s. There's not a lot of fitness women in their 40s on social media. Maybe it's because they may feel that they're too old to do this. They may not feel confident, or maybe the generational gap. Because I know some of the younger generations, everything's on camera, everything's on their phones, right? And our generation is not as much. So I think stepping into confidence and tracking your progress, whether you share it or not, I think is fun. It can be fun, but I don't feel that support back necessarily. I feel as if it's more like I'm out to try to make money, maybe, instead of support sometimes. And I could be wrong. I just could be me reading some of the things that I've seen online, but I just feel like more supportive, community, fitness community, whether it's local or national, I think is just something we all need.
Do you feel, I'm trying to say this the right way, um, when you, because I see a lot of women on there exercising and doing all sorts of things. Sometimes I think it's like almost like an overkill, so to speak.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
never get the true understanding of is are you just showing me something or are you telling me
Hmm.
something? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's probably much how I'm reading it. Like
I
when
agree
you know
completely.
what's the message here?
Right.
Is what I look for, and I don't want to overstep my boundaries. You do what you got to do. You got freedom of speech. You do whatever
Right.
you want to do, but I want to know what's the message here.
Hmm.
So when you're looking at this, what messages are you really getting from what you're seeing?
No, I think I agree with you. Is it just, hey, look at me, right? Hey, look at me, I'm doing this, or is it, hey, I want to encourage you or inspire you on this exercise or this workout. And I think unfortunately, you have to strike a balance because it's what does your audience want? So you're going to gain followers. What do they want? So it's really how you start your content. If you start your content of just selfies, like I did, I mean, I'll be honest, it was just selfies, just to really just put myself out there, and then you shift into, okay, here's an instructional video. Not a lot of your followers were like, that's not what I signed up for. So I think it's knowing your niche when you start. Do you want just a brand to reach out to you and say, we like your content, we want to pay you? Because that can happen. It doesn't happen as much anymore, but more of it's ambassadorship. Or is it, do you want, to teach and to be more of an instruction? And so that was something I had to learn too, is, what do I want my message to be and my followers to be? And sometimes you may have to shift the mindset and shift and be okay with losing followers because you're shifting what your brand is.
Speaking of shifting in mindset, what was the response that you were getting when you first started putting out your content? What was it being? perceived as? Because you mentioned you
Mhm.
had to shift. So I'm thinking if you had to shift, somebody wasn't reading your message correctly.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I would say there's different social media platforms, and some of them, in my opinion, are better for fitness than others. Others are just for show, if you will. So I would say that the platform that's more just for show, as soon as the shift was instruction, wasn't received well. But it's algorithms too. I mean, the algorithms out there are sending people to your page because of what you've been doing. The minute you shift, you'll notice they might stop, and so I think it's, again, what do you want to achieve? Are you trying to just, you know, maybe just kind of a vision board, right? A vision board is it, do you want to reach out to brands? Do you want to have clean, crisp content to where, you could potentially be an ambassador? Or do you want just to inspire people? And so I would say for me that platform, it started a little less because I didn't know what I was doing, and more of just selfies again. And it's a platform more for videos. So when you don't post the videos, then you're not really going to get the engagement, right? And so, I mean, it's never too late to change, though. It's never too late to shift what you want to do with your platform.
How do you manage to keep the perverts off of your social, because
Mhm,
you're married with children and you are a vice president, you run a major corp, and excuse my French, you're under the microscope with even your job.
right.
So how do you navigate trying to deliver a message without having the creeps
hmm
inboxing and doing all this crazy stuff
I
or
mean,
sabotaging your brand?
I mean, I think you're going to have fans, right? I mean, fans are fans, or you're going to have followers. In my opinion, you're going to have fans or followers. So, the true followers want to be inspired by you. You're going to have fans, and there's always going to be crazy fans. And so I just ignore it. I mean, if it's I try to be engaging and try to be nice, but if it crosses the line, I'm not involved. I don't get involved with that. And there's a lot of, like, cut the noise, right? So if it's something I get a message, I'll just delete and move on.
What's next for you? And thank you. Let me first of all say thank you for coming on and sharing the mindset that you have with the loss of both parents. Getting ready to go into the 1 year anniversary. I hope you stay strong on that. I know that can be very challenging. But what's next for you?
I don't know what's next. I would just really love to pursue my passion for fitness in any way that I maybe can. An opportunity may open up for me to, locally, maybe some local engagement with the local gyms, events. I just would love to inspire others. I want to continue my fitness journey. I've upped my protein, so we're going to see what that does. But again, I think I would love to just do more for the community, local, or whomever would like me to be involved. So I need to get creative. I think I just need to get creative and find out what that niche might be, or how do I use my niche? How is a 40-year-old woman that's busy, like you said, in corporate gal that's into fitness? How can I inspire? And so I'm going to continue to pursue that
Now, don't
potential.
I ain't leaving you. You're not leaving me that easy. Don't even think about it. I know you don't sit back and looked at some ideas. Give me at least two ideas that you thought about doing to get to
um,
get the message out.
maybe talking to the gym that I go to, the owner of the gym that I go to say, hey, put me in a commercial, or I would love to be the face of the generation that I am, as a woman, potentially to help drive clientele, or just, drive, if you have an event coming up, I would love to be there. I would love to represent your gym. And that's just marketing myself. I need to get more comfortable with marketing myself, I think. Again, I am busy, and so I don't want to take on too much, because again, I'm gotta balance what I'm involved in now. But I don't know. You
Now
have
you
any
say
ideas?
get comfortable
Yeah.
with. What do you mean? You're not comfortable yet
I mean, with my results, or with just where I'm at in
with where
life.
you're at with the branding, with the whole 9 yards. You ain't going in there listening to Van Halen throwing around 200 and 300 pounds and don't have a straight path. I don't see that going with you. So what do you
Uh,
think is really handicapping you at this point?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably, again, I need to market myself more and put myself out there a little bit more and ask for, how can, what can I do for your brand, or how can I be more involved in your business, and help you out. I'm an ambassador for one brand, BA Squared, and they're up and running, and they're out of clothing brand in New York, just really trying to help them get off the ground as much as I can. But, I think I just, again, need to probably do a little bit more research and just ask questions and maybe insert myself into, again, local ownership opportunities here in the Raleigh area.
Okay. Now, last question. How can the viewers reach out to you and support you?
I'm sorry, say that one more time, broke up.
How can the viewers reach out to you and support you?
Reach out to me, and if there's anything that I can help inspirationally, or ask questions, or answer any questions about my journey or how I got here, share some best practices and tips, workout, diet. I'm happy to share that. I'd love just the support, and just some advice. What would you like to see more of when it comes to what I share, to be inspired?
Sounds like a winner. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe, share, like, click that button. All it takes is one click to make a difference in your life or change somebody else's. Heather, thank you so much for coming on the show. If we can ever do anything on our end to help you, feel free to reach out. Ladies and gentlemen, like I've always said, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.
Andre the Beast. Andre the Beast. Change our lives. Andre the Beast.